Leiter and Holmes and Weaver and Tonkin and Cousins, you're never going to win a playoff series. You're never going to get through games.
I think Cousins is the outlier. I think he's got the best stuff out there. I think he's got that slider really plays well. I think he could be an effective pitcher out there.
You've said that about Weaver. You've said that about Tonkin in the past. You've said that about Canely.
Hold on. I have not said that about Tonkin.
You did say that about Tonkin. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Is it just me, Scott, or was that White Sox series way too competitive?
It was very competitive. First of all, I think that I got a number of things to talk about from this White Sox series because it's
we thought we were going to have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
It turns out there's a lot to talk about.
After yesterday, I was fired up during yesterday's game. Yesterday's game was a lot of fun to watch.
Because you were like, oh, they cannot lose 2 out of 3 to the
They cannot lose 2 out of 3. But they also had one of these types of plays that like fires an entire team up. And it did immediately. It was like an injection of energy when Cabrera tagged up from second base and scored. And when I'm looking at what this series was as a whole, first of all, they must have had the biggest attendance, right, in the all year, because that place looked packed for the most part. And I remember a story. Well, I remember a story happening like early in the season that there were
like 500 people,
15 people there. Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures of it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is a major market. This is Chicago, and there's nobody going to those games. So I think that these players probably got up a little bit for just having a packed ballpark. I think that helps when you have, at the end of the day, like there are guys that are, on the Major League Baseball players playing baseball. There were a lot of people there. I think that's different. And then also they fired their manager. Scott Sizemore over there is, or Grady Sizemore. Scott Sizemore, former Yankee great. Grady Sizemore was over there looking just like, I don't know what he looks like. He's like thicker. He looks dialed in, like very dialed in. His eyes are just like bulging. And made one of the dumbest managerial moves I've seen in the history of baseball yesterday, which was awesome to watch.
But that's what he said after the game, though, right?
I didn't hear what he said. No,
he's just like, I don't know, just pick your poison. Like, so
yeah, I agree with that.
4 straight at bats. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that he's down. What are they down 5 at the time, and he's intentionally walking either of them at that point? Like, what are you doing? But whatever.
So, there was definitely some juice to the series from the Chicago side. I think they had a little bit more to play for than ever. And Larry Sheets' kid was playing out of his mind the whole series. So he looked like Jim Thome over there at first base. But yeah, it was more entertaining than I was expecting it to be. It was definitely more competitive than it probably should have been. But at the end of the day, I think you can thank the Yankees pitching staff for that.
You get spanked on Monday. I think it was the only team. The Yankees are the only team to lose to the White Sox by double digits this season. They got embarrassed on Monday, and it's almost like a wake up call. What's going on? Like, they obviously thought they're just going to roll through Chicago and have 3 easy wins, and that didn't happen because they lost on Monday. Tuesday, they were a couple of bullpen meltdowns away from losing that, and then pretty late into that game yesterday, the Yankees are losing that game. It's tied. You don't know which way it's going to go. You're like, oh, if this is a 2-2 game going into the bullpen innings in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, they're probably not going to win. So thankfully, they obviously piled it on late. But yeah,
I mean, it was a 2-1 game, losing 2-1 before Cabrera scores from second base. So when you have that type of play, get you back to even in the score, understanding that now you're in a different position. Like I don't know that. Because obviously he would have scored if the inning transpired the way it did. But I don't know that the inning transpires the way it does if you don't have him score from second base on that moment. Because I think that was a big momentum boost.
Definitely. I mean, you can count on one hand how many times you've seen that.
Yeah. Did you hear on the broadcast the last time a Yankee did it?
No, wait, I missed that. Who was it?
You'll love this. It was... So there was a fly ball, if I remember correctly, there was a fly ball to Ron Gant in center field, who caught it for the second out, but thought there were 3 outs.
Oh, yeah.
The runner on second base, Jorge Posada, tagged up and just kept running because Gant thought there were 3 outs and scored.
Did they say what year that happened?
I don't remember what year it was, but yeah.
Because that's the only way Jorge Posada is going to score on something like that is when the outfielder thinks
Something crazy
they're
happens.
outs.
Yeah. Or the ball just somehow gets loose on a throw in. I don't know. Something weird happens. That's how it happens. But yesterday was Cabrera, just pure hustle, just pure, like, I'm going for it. And then,
I mean, the third base coach also heads up there looking at the outfielder,
100%.
noticing that he's stumbling out because the outfielder made a great play. That's a good play. And you're now in the gap, stumbling away from home plate. So the third base coach is understanding the situation, and Cabrera is not just assuming, oh, I'm only going to get third here, hustling.
No, he's blazing into third base, taking a turn like he's about to score. You can see him hesitate for like a blink, but it's funny because it actually doesn't really even slow him down. He just does like a little stutter step almost, and just keeps a full head of steam. But yeah, credit to Rojas for sending him on that play. There was another good aggressive send with Judge in the next. It wasn't the next at bat, but later in that inning when Austin Wells hit the double. So yeah, 2 for 2 in that inning, and we've seen him leave some guys hanging out to dry a few times with some sends, but those were good, man. And that Cabrera thing, that was one of the most fun plays. Like that, I love that play because it's pure hustle. I know they're giving all the Heart and Hustle awards out this week in baseball, and when I see Cabrera doing that, it makes my heart sing because that's baseball, Susan. That is how you should play baseball. I showed it to Kemp this morning, just illustrating like this is how you encapsulate hustle on a baseball field. Something that we've been trying to talk about quite a bit lately.
Verdugo gets an RBI on that, which is a little weird to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, why wouldn't he? It's
almost like you get the sack because you get the sacrifice, so that's not a lot. That's not like an 0 for 1, right? That's a non at. You don't get discredited with the at bat and the out. So I understand you get the sacrifice, but it's almost like fielder's indifference or something, like when a guy steals a base in the 9th inning, and it's because that's ultimately a judgment call.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the play was bang bang. It wasn't indifference. The guy was
or not indifference. I guess. Yeah, I guess you can't credit because you have to credit the run to something, either an RBI or an error or indifference. And you're right, it's not indifference. It's not an error.
It's a run batted in. It's exactly what it is. I mean, he should buy Cabrera a beer for that one. They should
give Cabrera the RBI, frankly.
Yeah. So it's just a great play overall. And I love the fact that in baseball, you get these plays that come out of nowhere, and you haven't seen one like that in such a long time, if ever. And they're fun to watch. And you realize like, oh yeah, you can do that. I've seen that happen in like slow pitch softball. I've seen that happen in little league. I've seen that happen in high school, but you don't see it in the major leagues very often because.
Where would you rank something like that in the type of weird plays that happen and the excitement level when they happen?
I don't know, but
like an inside the park home run type, like that's obviously inside the park home run is better than that, but like that is.
But in some cases, for some reason, in those plays, in those types of plays, something has to go amiss in some form or fashion, right? Yeah. And there has to be no error on a defensive player for that to actually be happening and called what it is in the book. So you're just looking at a fluky thing. And in this case, center fielder made a tremendous play, got his legs cut out a little bit, went to the ground, and Cabrera just made a heads up play by going full steam. And then Luis Rojas with the send also doing his job. By the way, he goes so far down the baseline. He's practically at home plate when he's waving home for the guys. And so, yeah, it's just a good baseball play on their end because they're aware of what's happening. And how many times are we like griping at awareness from this team as far as like baseball IQ and things like that? That's a high baseball IQ play, a very high baseball IQ play. And that's the type of shit that I love to see.
What players on the Yankees roster score on that and which players don't? Like, obviously take out Stan because he's just walking to third base. But yeah. Like, Glaber's not scoring on that. Verdugo's not scoring on that.
Yeah, I mean, the feet had to be perfect. Like the footwork had to be perfect. And again, like that hesitation that he did, it didn't even look like it slowed him down. It was like weird. It almost looked like it was a glitch in the Matrix.
Where he was like, oh, I'm going here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was going anyway, like he was planning to go, and whether he had to stop and like hit the brakes hard and fall to the ground to stop himself, because that's probably would have. He had so much momentum. If there was a throw to third base behind him, he was screwed.
Right, because he's going to be way past third base.
Yeah, but But yeah, I mean, thankfully Rojas, if Rojas put the stop sign up, yeah, he would have been halfway. He would have been a good way down and probably in trouble. So even at that point, maybe that's part of Rojas's read is like, this guy's coming in like a bat out of hell. If I stop him right now, he's going to be in no man's land. I got to send him at this point.
I love that type of play. I think, though, I would rank a play if you throw a guy out from the outfield at first base, like with a guy just assuming it's going to be a single, like hard line drive to right field. And the right fielder just like, oh, you think you're going to just get on base, and he nabs him at first base. Like, I love a play like that because there's extra embarrassment to the hitter. So something like that, to me, I would rank above what happened last night with Oswaldo.
Yeah, I don't think it's above it because there's excitement with this play. That one, it's like, yeah, like the guy was sleeping. Somebody was doing something wrong in that play, if that's the case. Someone was dogging it to first base, and then like now you're taking out pieces of the game that I don't want to see, so I have to mark that down in my playbook.
Okay, new question: who on the Yankees would dog it to first base and get thrown out on a assumed single to
two
right
people,
field?
Verdugo and Glaber. Maybe not Glaber anymore, but who knows?
Oh no, definitely Glaber still.
He had a 10-game hit streak. Did he get a hit last night? I know he was flirting with it. I'm not sure if he did. I don't think he did. But
before we, well, obviously the Oswaldo play we just talked about, that's one of the positives from the series. Before we get to the others, is that, so I see you're wearing the original BP Crew shirt. That was the OG one from our 2017 event versus
June 10th,
Baltimore.
June 10th, 2017. Yeah.
Is that the original shirt that you wore, or is this one of the 75 extras that you have?
Oh, I have no idea. It would be impossible to know. I don't have a lot of extras of these.
You don't have a lot of those because no. I mine of that shirt. You can't even see the lettering anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure this is one of many. I've definitely cut the sleeves off a few of these. I have a few of them. I think
very comfortable.
They're
that and the. Do you remember the Rebuild the Empire shirt with the home plate? Design. That one probably I wore the most, and it got to the point where not only could you not see the lettering anymore, it was just shredded from use and washes.
Yeah, my Rebuild shirt, it just looks like a navy blue shirt now. You can't see it at all. And then my baseball.
Well, mine was gray though.
The Bronx.
Oh, better. Okay. Bronx, yeah.
Yeah. There were two different colors. So baseball better in the Bronx is another one that was. I still wear it. I think I wore it on the last show actually. And you barely can read the words.
Didn't notice, obviously. We are brought to you today by Factor Meals. You know what one of my favorite things in life is? Looking forward to a good meal. If you know you have a delicious dinner planned, you get excited. I get even more excited when I know that A, I'm not going to have to cook it, and B, I'm not going to have to clean it up. With Factor, you can get both of those with their no prep, no mess meals. You can also stick to your wellness goals because their meals are nutritious and dietitian approved. The process is very easy. You go on the Factor website and choose from over 35 delicious meals each week. You can customize your deliveries with 60 different add-ons. Highly skilled chefs prepare your food and it's delivered to you. Always fresh, never frozen. Heating the meals up takes just 2 minutes. And then, like I said, no mess or anything to clean up. All of Factor's meals are, like I said, are always fresh, never frozen, and they have options from breakfast all the way to dessert and everything in between. We've got a really great offer for you right now. Head to factormeals.com/Bronx50 and use code Bronx50 to get 50% off your first box, and then you get 20% off your next month. It's a really great deal, 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month at factormeals.com/Bronx50. One of the other positives we have to talk about is Juan Soto's 3-homer game, first in his career, and then follows that up the next night with an first at bat of the game, home run. He produced all 4 runs for the Yankees on Tuesday, so right now he's at 34 home runs, and his career high, which was last year, is 35. So he's going to surpass that hopefully this weekend in Detroit. That's a pace for roughly 45 home runs. Obviously, if he picks it up, that could go up. Maybe he sniffs 50 home runs. We originally, when he got traded to the Yankees, I think a lot of people, us included, were like, "Oh, short porch is going to help him. He's going to have a career high in home runs because Yankee Stadium short porch left-handed hitters." And then some people pointed out, actually Juan Soto is not a pull hitter, especially when he's hitting fly balls. He actually hits a ton of fly balls to the opposite field, and we've seen that. We've seen plenty of home runs and doubles that he's hit to left field, left center field. But he is now approaching his career high home runs. He's going to hit in the mid-40s home runs. I think there's been I'd have to look at the spray chart, but I can just anecdotally remember a lot of home runs to the right field seats. And it's not like he's sniffing, wall scrapers here where it's second row deep in the short porch. Like he's hitting bombs to the bleachers. He's hitting bombs to the second level in right field, section 205. So for whatever reason, also, he's 25 years old. So the cliche is you come into your power at 25. It just so happens he's also like a 7-year MLB veteran. So everyone thinks like, oh, he's just a 30 home run hitter. No, he could very well be a 45, 50 home run hitter as he progresses into his late 20s, which is just another insane thing. The power has not taken away from his plate discipline and his walks, because he already has 100 walk season, which is some stat. He's the only player in history to do that. Was it the stat like first six straight seasons or something? I don't know what the stat is. He's got
a long streak to start your year, to start your career.
100 walk season. He's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's fun to watch, man. And so do you want to talk about the walk? I got a couple things to say about this, because I think this is an interesting conversation back to when everybody was talking about, and this was like 2 weeks ago when it first started really coming up, was have you considered flipping Judge and Soto in the lineup? And I've been going back and forth on DMs with a guy who listens to the show, Bill, about this as well. And he makes some good points in obviously the very obvious point in that Aaron Judge is the best player on the planet. But the thing is that Juan Soto is like arguably the second best player on the planet, and is right there. And when you saw what happened yesterday, when Grady Sizemore intentionally walked Juan Soto in front of Aaron Judge, and if you listen to Judge at the end of the game talking to Meredith, with a 3-0 count, he made a point to say, kind of pissed me off or kind of made me mad that they intentionally walked him in front. So normally I would take a pitch or 2 pitches in that instance, but no, he unloaded on a ball that was inside and up, because he was probably trying to walk him, but missed the location by a hair, and Judge put it over the seats, which was just the greatest thing. That was the other thing. Like, that inning was fantastic because of the Cabrera tag up. And then you see not only Judge hit his 300th home run, but in the fashion that he did, because they walked Soto in front of him, is just like the ultimate irony of what an ultimate like stupidity on the manager side when you're looking at it. But at the same time, I get it. It's Juan Soto.
You damned if you do, damned if you don't. And also probably just pitch to both in that situation.
For sure. And here's the thing. And this is where I wanted to talk about quickly that situation and flipping those guys in the order. Because when I think about it even more, I understand that you want as many at-bats from Aaron Judge as humanly possible. But when you're telling me that the other guy is Juan Soto, I'm like, well, okay. Does it really make that much of a difference? Because if you bat Judge in the 2 spot, aren't they still going to walk him? Aren't they still going to walk him? If they were walking him in the 3 spot, aren't they still going to walk him and make? If the choice is,
I mean, but like then they're walking, but then they're walking Soto. So I don't think Judge is necessarily.
But I don't think they're walking Soto at that point. That's my point. They're still choosing to pitch to one of them. They're just going to do it in reverse order.
No, because I think. No, I do agree that if you're going to pitch to one of them, you're going to pitch to the first guy, because you definitely don't want to pitch to the second guy with a runner on base. Definitely.
So that leads me to the argument that I think is the most important piece of this whole thing that's not being talked about enough. And I've said this on the last 2 shows. The leadoff guy is actually more important than any of that conversation. Because
more important in the sense that if the leadoff guy sucks, then it's setting up the 2 best hitters in the league, which is your core of your team, to have success.
It's ultimately allowing you to walk Aaron Judge in the 3 spot. That's what's happening. If you have a more competent leadoff guy, he actually can protect those 2 guys more so than the 4 hitter. The 4 hitter can make you pay and make you think about it differently because he's coming through, which Austin Wells is doing in spades and did again yesterday. But the leadoff guy, the importance of the leadoff person, getting that runner on ahead of those 2 guys, or even just ahead of Juan Soto at that point, is going to make you have to pitch to them. Because if you're on and then Juan Soto is on, whether it's by walk or hit or whatever, you have first and second or first and third, then you're loading the bases. And you're not going to do that. And so the leadoff guy, to me, is actually more protection for both of those guys than the 4 hitter. The 4 hitter can make you pay and make you look silly for doing what you're doing.
Sure.
But the leadoff hitter is actually more protective in the case of allowing the other team or putting a bug in the other team, in the back of their mind to actually pitch or not pitch to you.
So then the only thing that the Yankees should be concerned with in the leadoff spot is get that guy on base. He doesn't
100%.
have to be fast. It doesn't
Right.
have to get on by a hit. Could be a walk.
Correct.
Could be however. So doesn't
Yes.
that then support my topic last episode of why not try Wells there?
Well, then again, here it is. Cut your nose off to spite your face. I got a text message.
No, because you just said it's more important.
I got a text message from my buddy.
But you just said the
dumb
leadoff
thing.
spot is more important to protect those guys than the cleanup spot. And if you also have Stanton there, Stanton is the cleanup spot protection, but the more important protection is Wells in the leadoff spot.
Okay, fine. To this argument, then sure. Then yes. If you have, I still think you have to have a competent guy in 4. You can't just have someone in 4 who's not doing any protection.
Stick Gleyber Torres in 4. So I said Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, because I don't want the same situation what's happening now is insert guy here in the 1 spot and then you put
what's
JD
Davis doing? I know he got DFA'd. Can they call him back to bat him clean up a couple times? Is that good for you?
No, please do not. Please do not do that. But and the reason why I don't want to mess with Wells right now, because Wells is in such a great spot, I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to mess with that.
Okay.
So that would be the other reason why I'm not moving him
To your
at
original
all.
question of flipping the guys, which I know has been talked about a lot. I agree with you. First of all, I don't think it's going to make a ton of difference. I also don't want to mess with it. I also think that I would rather have Soto ahead of Judge because Judge hits more home runs than Soto. Soto is, even when he's in a slump, we've seen, he still gets on base at 40% of the clip, okay?
Yeah.
So even if Soto is in a slump as far as getting hits, he's going to get on base via his walks. He's going to take a lot of pitches, putting opportunities for Judge to hit a 2-run home run. I'd rather have that and as a worst case scenario. That is your worst case scenario, right?
Yes.
I'd rather have that than flip it and have something else happen.
I just don't think the delta is that different because both of these guys are that good. They're literally top 3 in baseball. Top 3 in baseball.
They each have 102
Throw Ohtani
walks.
in there, maybe Mookie Betts. Like you could go back and forth on top 5 guys, but like they're all both in that top 5. 100%.
Correct. They both have 102 walks on the season. Judge's on base overall is higher because his batting average is like whatever.
He's at 333 now.
333, and I was just looking at Soto's at like 307 or something like that.
Yeah.
But they both have a 102 walks on this season. The key difference here is that Soto only has 1 intentional walk last night. Judge has 14 intentional walks. So 14 of Judge's 102 walks are intentional. Only 1 of Soto's is intentional. So that means he has 101 real walks, okay? Versus Judge's, do the math, 84.
Oh, and by the way, you can subtract an entire month from Judge's season because he took the month of April.
But he was still getting
off.
on base in that time.
It's just it blows my mind to think about what happened in April with Aaron Judge and to know where we are today with where his
if he had
numbers
an
are.
average
It's
April,
insane.
if he had an average April, he would be on pace for like 65, 68 home runs.
He would be yes, we would be talking about Bonds right now.
No, I don't know if we talk about Bonds.
It would be
Bonds
close.
73. Bonds was 73.
It would be close. So yeah, it's just crazy. So anyway, the point of that discussion, like I think it's an interesting discussion, but I think that the discussion ends up being, inconsequential because they're both that good, and I don't think it matters that much. I think the bigger piece of that is protect those guys at all costs, and we're doing that very well with Austin Wells right now in the 4 spot, and we're doing a really shitty job with that in the leadoff spot. And I understand Boone has tried everybody basically in that leadoff spot besides the idea that you had, but that
no, he's tried 2. What are you talking about? He's tried 2 people.
He's tried multiple people, but they're leaving Verdugo in there for way too long.
He's wrong. You're wrong, Scott. He's been since Volpe was taken out of the leadoff spot, which was how long ago? It's been Gleyber or Verdugo. That's it.
Wasn't JD Davis in the leadoff spot for a minute? There were Ben Rice. No, I'm sorry.
No,
Ben Rice was in the leadoff spot.
Jahmai Jones hit leadoff. That doesn't count.
Ben Rice hit
leadoff for 2 days, 3 days, 3 games. Okay. It's mainly been, he's seriously tried Gleyber and Verdugo. Logan, back me up on this. Come on.
Yeah, look at the numbers, but that's fine. You're right. He's and if there's going to be one, like at least I don't know, Glaber's giving a better opportunity at this point, but I don't know when DJ gets the nod to go into that spot.
You talk about moving the guys, just slide up Soto and Judge. Soto lead off, Judge 2.
I like that. He actually, Ben Rice hit leadoff 10 games.
Yeah, it was
started 10 games
for
at
a
leadoff.
solid 2 weeks.
Hit 182 with an 864 OPS. That's an interesting stat line.
Yeah.
So he was getting on base, or he was like his hits were home runs? What happened there?
Yeah, 6 home runs in those 10 games.
He hit 6 home runs hitting. Oh, sorry. In those games, he was batting leadoff. He hit 6 home runs. 3 of them were probably the Red Sox.
The 3, right? Exactly.
Okay,
but still,
So the second time around, then you're if you move, and so you get protection for those guys in the first inning, but then after that, the 9 hitter is protecting Soto. So you might as well just look at that lineup as a rotation.
What if DJ's hitting 9th?
Okay, then it's the same goddamn thing, but okay.
The main difference is you're getting one more at bat for Soto and Judge versus DJ.
Okay. Or you get a runner on for both of those guys another time as well. So
I almost think
that way.
I almost think if they were going to do that, they should just go Judge Soto.
Why?
Because Soto loves sitting in the 2 spot.
Soto, you only if you only move one player by that, but I know it's been working, but Judge probably is the one. Judge is the better hitter, so he should be getting the protection.
You think Judge is the better hitter
out of him and Soto?
The numbers.
Yeah, I don't.
You can't dispute it. It's hard. to dispute it. Again, it's like A plus. Like it's a 97 and a 98. Right. So what are we doing? But
then
at the same time, they just need a guy to get on fucking base. Get on base. Just get on base. I need a high OBP. I need a high OBP in the leadoff spot. That's all I need. High OBP.
But you do realize then that person needs to be Soto because he walks more consistently than Judge. Because Judge has 14 intentional walks because no one was hitting behind him for a while. So take out those 14 intentional walks. If we're just looking at a guy who's going to walk in a real at bat, Soto has a better chance at walking.
No, I'm not disputing what you're saying about those 2 guys. I don't want them 1 and 2. I want someone in the 1 spot who can just get on base. That's it.
You want someone to hit leadoff and also be good, but that has not happened so far.
Just try DJ freaking LeMahieu there and let this pressure hit him.
I think they should try Austin Wells before they try DJ LeMahieu. Maybe this is all thrown out the window as far as consistent playing time for DJ if Jazz is out for a while, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But assuming that's not the case, DJ's going to play 3 games a week maximum. So you're talking about a plan at leadoff for not even half the games.
If that's the case, if they're limiting his playing time because of why? Because he's been bad against right-handed pitching, or because he's old.
Glaber could go into Boone's desk and shit on his desk, and he would only get benched for half a game, and then he'd be back in there the next day.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about
Verdugo could go shit on his desk, and he'd get a pat on the back. Thanks, bro. Thanks, dog.
That's going to be, I think, that point with Verdugo in 1 month. I'm going to call it right now, 9/15, September 15. That's when the shit's going to hit the fan with Verdugo. If he's not, because I think that's when they'll be much closer to Dominguez being a real option.
But it has to be September 1st. If you don't call up Dominguez by September 1st, he cannot be on the playoff roster.
Okay, well then
that's not true.
They can call him up afterwards. I believe there's still a window.
As long as he's in the roster, as long as he's in the organization, you can.
He's on the 20.
Oh, sorry, it's got to be on the 40-man roster.
He's on the 40-man.
And he's already on the 40-man roster.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
But 9/15, that was right around the time when the AAA season ended, right? It was right around that time. That is when they're going to be forced into either, this guy's coming up to sit on the bench, which I think is a very bad idea, or they're going to come up and play him. And the obvious person that's going to get reduced playing time is Verdugo.
Well, it's going to be a long month.
Well, do you know why they're not?
Dominguez hasn't done shit since he's gotten back. I know he hit a home run last night, but he's still working back from, knocking the rust off. So let him play every day down there, knock the rust off, and then come up. I got no problem with that.
Did you guys see I don't want to call it conspiracy theory, but if the Yankees wait until September 1st to call him up, he wouldn't be able to accumulate enough at-bats to be eligible for Rookie of the Year this year, which means he'd be eligible for Rookie of the Year next year, which could lead to a draft
More
pick.
service
This
time?
has nothing to do with service time, does it?
It has to do with it's the at-bat qualifier because he could, if he plays.
Wait,
just
you're saying that if he
September-
comes up on September, Jason Dominguez, we're talking about, right?
Yes.
If Jason Dominguez comes up on September 1st
Mhm.
and hits lights out for the rest of the season, he's eligible for Rookie of the Year.
He's not eligible for Rookie of the Year.
This has nothing
this
to
year.
do with him winning the award, Scott. It only means that if he's eligible, that's more service time.
No, it means that if he's eligible this year, he's not eligible next year.
Well,
Yeah,
so
no,
what?
the service time has nothing to do with it. Service time's out the
It's
window
got nothing
from
to
like
do with
May
service time.
or June.
Yeah.
This is whose conspiracy theory is thinking that
This is a dumb conspiracy theory.
Yankees care about if he wins Rookie of the Year or not?
Because they could get a draft pick.
Huh?
If do you remember in the collective bargaining agreement this year they did that? If like to incentivize the team to bring up a player, if the player wins Rookie of the Year, they get a first round draft pick.
Well,
I
guess
forgot
what?
about
He could have a Gary Sanchez September, and he's not going to go
No.
beyond Austin Wells.
Logan's saying they want him to win Rookie of the Year next year.
Next year, this
I
is
got
what
you.
they want.
Okay, whatever.
That's a dumb.
It's dumb,
conspiracy
but
theory.
So that would mean they would get 2 in a row potentially because Austin
Someone
Wells
smoked
is
a lot of
tracking very
weed
well
to come
right
up with
now.
that one.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that they're going to be looking at him to get as much playing time as possible, knock the rust off, and that's when Verdugo. We'll be looking at this in a month, maybe a couple weeks before that, or a week before that, and he'll be under the spotlight because there's no reason for him to be playing every single day unless he's producing because he's not on this team forever after the next 2 months.
Right. Same for Glaber. Did you know, Scott, that 1 in 5 people have learn a new language on their bucket list? I'm not sure what's up with those other 4, but if you have ever wanted to learn a new language, now's the time with Babbel. Babbel gets you talking in another language because their courses are designed by real people for real conversations. The lessons are quick, just 10 minutes long, so you don't get overwhelmed with information. The courses are handcrafted by over 200 language experts, ready to get you talking your new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel also has a really cool feature called speech recognition technology, which helps you improve on your pronunciation and accent. Again, everything Babbel is going to teach you is for talking like a local in the new language, and I think that's pretty awesome and useful, especially if you've got an international trip coming up. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee, so there's also no pressure. And a special deal for our listeners right now, you can get 60% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Bronx. Go to babbel.com/Bronx, spelled Babbel, to get your 60% off deal. Rules and restrictions apply. Anything else to talk? Well, we got down a rabbit hole and a half. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good. It's good when that happens.
I just was looking at Dominguez's numbers because I also have been hearing not coming back.
Look up July and August. Make sure you're looking at July and August.
But July, he didn't start playing until the end of the month.
There was like a week left in July and August. And in August, besides yesterday, he was hitting like 138.
Well, he's played 23 games at AAA this year. So
but
you're
some
saying
of those are from his
beforehand.
first rehab.
Yeah, so you have to look after he came back. That's what I'm looking at because
Because he was
after
good.
after he had the injury in the midsection. What is he doing since he's come back from that?
Because in his first stint at
I see.
AAA before the oblique, he was good.
Yeah.
That's
Let me nip that in the ass because I knew where
Yeah,
you were going.
pump.
'Cause I was looking at those numbers last night.
Yeah, those pumped the numbers right up because his numbers for the AAA season are good. His numbers for his minor leagues this year are awesome.
Honestly, I don't care what his numbers in AAA are. If he's healthy,
Neither do I.
If he's
that's the
healthy,
biggest thing.
It makes sense.
then
right.
fine.
I just
Because
but
I know what-
he
I
needs
know
to
what
prove that
Verdugo
he's
is.
healthy. He needs to
Sure.
prove that he's healthy in AAA.
Okay, prove that. I
Not
don't
prove
think
that
it
he's
can
healthy
take him up-
necessarily. Hold on, not prove that he's healthy necessarily. Prove that he's beyond what that injury was as far as limitations and what he can do as a baseball player. Because I do think if you have, so it was a lat strain or something, right? It was something in the
That was
midsection.
an
Oblique.
oblique. It was
Oblique, sorry. Oblique, whatever. They're all affecting similar things. If it's an oblique and you're not coming back from it and you're quote healthy, then there's some type of limitation or your mechanics are off or something, because that is one that will throw you off. So you need to be baseball back from that injury, not just physically back from that injury for you to come up.
Agree. And assuming he is, whether that's, you say, September 15th, whatever the date is, hopefully sooner, I would rather see him than Verdugo because
100%.
I think
Everybody
we've seen
would.
enough out of Verdugo to know what he's going to be this year.
Yes, I agree. And let me tell you what, we're also, you know what the next Verdugo we're going to see when this does happen, because it's going to happen eventually. We're going to see the one that the
Got kicked out
Boston
of
Red
Boston.
Sox was completely annoyed with, because he's going to be probably a big pain in the ass baby in the dugout at some point.
Him and Glaber can sit and pout together on their way out of the Bronx for forever.
Glaber made a nice play defensively yesterday, and he did have a 10-game hit streak. So what we're doing is seeing a little bit of progress from the incident. I'm just going to say that.
The incident. The third positive from the series is that Nestor Cortes had a good start in a time not only did the Yankees desperately needed it, but Nestor desperately needed it, because previously in his 5 starts before Tuesday, he was awful. In 23 and a third innings pitch, he had allowed 36 hits, 24 runs. That's a 9.26 ERA and over 1,000 OPS allowed to opposing hitters. He had been so bad. And then coming into that Tuesday game, the Yankees just got crushed the night before. Their bullpen is decimated. And you're like, oh, now Nestor Cortes has to be the stopper here. I was not feeling good.
Yeah, well, sometimes you need a shitty team to come in, waste all their runs the night before, get everything out of their system for you to get a little momentum. That said, he was peppering the zone. He looked good. He looked, the fastball looked good. Like the movement on his pitches looked good. So I don't know if he was sitting on those Marcus Stroman mechanical tweak sessions, but he did look good. And I understand they were playing the worst team in baseball.
But the worst
that same
team in
team
baseball
put a
the night
double-digit spot
before,
up on us. Yeah,
exactly. That same lineup hit Luis Gil the night before.
Yes. Yeah. And when Luis Gil's off, he's very hittable. He is. But they came to play. But yeah, Nestor looked good. He looked good. So hopefully it's something that he can build on. Maybe there was something that was identified in the mechanics that had been tweaked. I don't know. Let's see how he continues to go. But if Nestor Cortes can put a string together of some good starts, then that's fantastic news for the Yankees.
Couple of other things on Judge's 300th home run. So it came in his 955th game, which is the fastest ever, beating Ralph Kiner, who did it in 1,087 games. Judge also beat Babe Ruth to 300 home runs by 400 at-bats, which is 2/3 of a season.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he is what, 100, what's the math here? 132 games faster than anybody who's ever played baseball to get to 300 home runs. That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
That's crazy. That's damn near a season.
Damn near a season. Yeah, I mean, and it's games played, because I was thinking, oh, and he missed time, but no, it's games played.
Yeah, games played, and he started late.
Missed good chunks of 2018, 2019, 2020. He missed time, but also it's a shortened season. So when you think about what is Judge going to end up at his career, it's like it's going to be in the 500s probably, because of all of the time that he missed due
Plus
to
he started
injuries,
at 25 years
started
old.
late, pandemic, etc.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. The guy's been at a stupid pace. So
he's a Hall of Famer now. If he legitimately, if he retires after this year, he's a Hall of Famer. And I think that he is more deserving of a guy like Judge, who has been the best hitter in baseball for a period of time, is so much more deserving of the Hall of Fame than someone who just compiles stats for 22 years.
Look, I'm not going to get into this argument right now, because this is such a.
I thought we were going to do rabbit holes today.
This is bait. That's what this is. This is bait.
I'm looking at you, Craig Biggio.
But they are different. They are different types. Like, yes, there can be achievement over a long period of time that is also admirable. There are two different ways to do it. But yes, when you have an unbelievable talent being the best player that has been in that time frame, I do think that the Hall of Fame needs to look at those shorter careers. Now you're pissing me off now, because I'm thinking of Don Mattingly. You need to look at shorter careers, or careers that didn't have the same length, but were so dynamic in those years. They need to be looked at in a different view, but also greatness. Okay. Please move forward. Please move forward. This is an off-season conversation. I'm already getting my blood boiled.
We all know that bills can pile up and unexpected expenses can hit you when you least need them. One service you should not be overpaying for is your wireless provider. That's why we are happy Mint Mobile is sponsoring today's show. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan and hello to Mint Mobile for just $15 per month when you purchase a 3-month plan. When they say $15 a month, they mean it. What you see is what you get. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can also use your own phone and Mint Mobile plan when you bring the phone number over, and all your contacts come with you. So there's nothing like, oh, I got to get a new phone, new contacts, new number, none of that stuff. This is an amazing offer that I know you will love. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium plan, wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Bronx. Again, that's mintmobile.com/Bronx. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 per month at mintmobile.com/Bronx. It's $45 upfront payment required, which is equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on a first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabyte on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Oh, man, I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. Negatives. What was going on Monday and the Yankees leaving runners on base? They were 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position. 16 men total left on base. And the first 4 innings alone were just wasted opportunities. And honestly, the reason why they lost that game, because they could have added runs in that game to not fall behind, and then the bullpen wouldn't have come in and just completely been trash. First inning, Wells and Glaber pop up, stranding second and third. Second inning, Soto and Judge leave the bases loaded with 1 out. And that's obviously, you got Soto and Judge up with the bases loaded and you don't score a run, unacceptable. Jazz grounds into a double play, which is his first of the season with the Yankees and the Marlins. Okay. So already like glitch in the matrix shit is happening when Jazz is grounding into double plays in the 3rd inning. And then the 4th inning, Yankees get the first 2 guys on, and Verdugo, the worst bunt attempt I've seen in the history of Major League Baseball, pop up.
It was a bad bunt attempt. It wasn't even an attempt. It was just like, I'm going to put my bat here. And he did everything wrong. Every single thing wrong. And even admitted to being a little lazy with the bunt attempt at the end of the game. And people are kind of blowing that quote out of proportion, I think, when he's talking about being lazy with the bunt attempt. That means he just wasn't getting his hands in the right spot, like whatever. But it was a terrible bunt attempt. It was a terrible bunt attempt. And a Major League Baseball player should never have that type of an attempt.
And after the game, a reporter asked Boone about the bunt attempt, and Boone got very defensive. And he said something along the lines of, "You've been covering me for 2 years. You should know not to ask those questions, or you should know what the answers to those kinds of questions." I'm like, what? What does that mean?
What is the answer? Yeah, what is the answer that we've all expected? I know, but what's the answer that he's referring to?
I think because he
don't you know who I am?
Then he alluded to it's a play. He alluded to something where it's a play that didn't work out. Okay.
Yeah.
But then Verdugo said, all the bunt attempts are always on me, not a call. So I guess what Boone is saying there is, you should know I didn't call for the bunt, and you should know that's just a player trying something and it didn't work out. But like, it's still a very valid question because it's a pivotal moment in the game. It was a terrible bunt attempt. And you as the manager, Boone, maybe need to have a sit down with Verdugo and be like, hey, in that situation, either commit to the bunt attempt and do it better
and bunt,
or don't.
Yes. And that's an accountability thing with Alex Verdugo, in which, there's been a lot of chatter about, well, why has Glaber been held accountable in this one instance? And like, we're making a big deal about Glaber Torres and the things that he doesn't do, but why has the spotlight not been on Alex Verdugo more often? Because he's done a lot of the same things as far as dogging it down the line, bunt attempts like that, just like, the lack of effort,
generally being crappy,
generally being shitty. Like, yeah, they're very similar in the way that they've done things, but Glaber's gotten a lot more of that attention. Yeah, it was a terrible bunt attempt. It was a terrible, and the runners in scoring position, at least yesterday, what we saw was at a point where the game was, undecided 2-1, down. You see Verdugo put a very good at bat. He hit a ball to the left center field gap. It was good contact. He had a couple, I think, good at bats yesterday. Hit the ball hard a couple times. So that was good. But runners in scoring position.
Austin Wells was field
huge.
Is massive there.
Yeah, and he is just becoming one of my favorites out there because he's that gritty type of dude. He wears a lot of emotion, but he's very much dialed in on things that are important. He does everything the right way. And he's just having a lot of success.
And he wants to be a Yankey,
fun.
Right? He wanted to be a Yankee.
I don't understand that. Can we talk about that? The reason I brought that up in our group chat was because I didn't get it. Nobody really balked at that. So what I'm referring to, there was a clip going around from Corey Kluber, who has a podcast, which is the last person in the world I would have expected to have a podcast, first of all. And when you listen to him talk, he's still very robotic and like doesn't have any emotion.
He's the Cluebot. He's just playing the character.
But he's not even, I don't even know. It's just hilarious that he has a podcast. If he has a podcast, literally every retired player is going to have a podcast. But they were talking to Austin Wells, and apparently during his draft year, Tampa was a few spots ahead of the Yankees, and they were telling his agent that, hey, we're looking at picking you here. It was like 3 or 4 spots ahead of it. I don't remember exactly. And then in which Austin Wells asked his agent, well, what are the Yankees doing? They're at, I think, 24 or 21. So he said the Yankees were interested. So he essentially said that he turned down the Tampa Bay Rays for choosing him. And I don't know if this is normal, because this is something that I had not heard before. You hear about this in the NFL at like the top lottery, the big spots. Obviously, John Elway was famous, Eli Manning for not going to the Chargers.
He's talking about
exactly that. Tampa was going to choose him, and he
what
said
year
no.
is he talking about? Because he's been drafted. He's been drafted twice.
It was the same year the Yankees drafted him in the first round of the.
The Yankees drafted him twice.
Well, I don't know.
Because he was drafted out of high school in 2018, went to college.
So it was not that.
And then the Yankees then drafted him in the first round.
Yes.
In 2020.
That's when it was. That's
28th overall.
Okay. Yes.
So
I'm
I guess
sure that's what he was talking. So I think Tampa maybe had the 24 spot or something like that.
But see, that would only make sense if you're coming out of high school, because teams don't want to draft a player who's going to go to college anyway.
Yes, but that's not what happened.
I know.
So I'm wondering if this is normal protocol for baseball, because later in the 20s, if you don't have, because you could still not sign a guy could not sign, he could enter back into the draft. There's a number of things that can happen, especially in baseball, because you're not going to the majors right away. Some of these guys choose to back out and wait a year for their, I don't know if he had another year of eligibility. I don't know what the situation was. He could have gone and played independent ball. The pitcher from Vanderbilt did that when the Mets picked him, right? Because the Mets decided not to sign him because of medicals, I think, at one point. Anyway, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that was a thing where he was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to go to Tampa because the Yankees are telling me that they're going to choose me 4 slots later.
Yeah.
So he's actually sacrificing dollars, because the way that they pay in baseball, as far as the bonuses, it's not that much, but it is some. It's slotted, so you have a defined amount of money that you're getting based on the slot that you were drafted.
Especially also because he probably would have figured you'd probably have a quicker road to the majors as a Ray than
for whatever reason you wanted to be a Yankee. I was taken aback by that there was that much of a choice on the player's side. And that late in the draft, in the first round, that you actually have that type of leverage to say such a thing. So I guess it's the threat of not signing, and then you lose a draft spot you lose a draftee as a major league club, and so maybe those conversations happen more often than not. I just didn't know about it, but I thought it was interesting.
Definitely. All right, the next negative is the bullpen, which we talk about every episode, so I don't want to spend too much time on here. And it's also De Los Santos giving up 7 runs on Monday, and then he's released. Fine, whatever, he sucks. The bigger issue,
he wasn't good when they got him.
Right.
No longer are we giving the Yankees grace in the sense that they can see these underlying metrics and these splits from random places to say that they're going to fix a guy, because that's not what's happened. Clay Holmes has become a pumpkin again. The lighter book is still out.
Well, here's what I want to talk about.
Not seeing the big strikeout with him all the time. And then De Los Santos, who had strikeout percentage, a higher rate of strikeout, but he's been trash. He was trash.
Tuesday, to me, even though they won the game, was a bigger issue, because you got a great start out of Nestor. It's a close game. The only offense you're getting all night is Soto's home runs. And between Leiter and Canely, it was a freaking tightrope to get through 2+ innings with a 3-run lead. Come on.
I'm telling you, man, this is exactly what Max and I were talking about. And I brought this point up. I think that the bullpen is going to look extremely different on day one of the playoffs than what we're looking at today. I think it's going to be
They're
very
just going to call guys up at the end of September and be like, here's our new bullpen.
Yes. I think they're gonna make starters into bullpen guys. They have to.
Well, they have to make whoever's not in the rotation. In the
But
playoffs
Andrew,
in
the
bullpen.
whole point here is that it's that bad. They have to do this. They have to do this. They have to look. They have to get creative in how they're going to rebuild this bullpen on August 15th at this point, because it needs to be rebuilt because it's trash.
Because here's the reality.
And it's been trash from day one. We called this out in spring training. Like, I cannot believe that they're breaking camp with the names that they're breaking camp with. And there was a mirage for the first month and a half of the season where they were putting out these great numbers with these no-name guys, but it caught up to them very clearly. And the underlying fact was there was no track record for success in this bullpen at all. They were trying to turn 5 guys into, sustainable, reliable bullpen guys when they have done that in ones and twos in the past, but not 5. They've not done it with a full bullpen, and they tried to do that. It's like, I'm going to get real greedy and cocky in the way that I can transform a bullpen, and I'm going to do it with everyone. I'm going to have 100% success rate. And that led us to picking guys off of the waiver wire throughout the season. And they've had a little bit of success from that. But again, like, do you really trust the Dick Tonkins of the world?
But who's
Tim
going to
Hills of the
replace
world?
them? Whoever replaces them, you're not going to trust. But I agree with you. If you go into the playoffs with this bullpen and the back of your leverage spots in the playoffs, if they're made up of Leiter and Holmes and Weaver and Tonkin and Cousins, you're never going to win a playoff series. You're never going to get through games.
I think Cousins is the outlier. I think he's got the best stuff out there. I think he's got that slider really plays well. I think he could be an effective pitcher out there.
You've said that about Weaver. You've said that about Tonkin in the past. You've said that about Canely.
Hold on. I have not said that about Tonkin.
You did
Tonkin,
say that about Tonkin.
I'm still waiting. What did I say yesterday? I think Tonkin looks like a dentist that has lost his license but still practices dentistry. That's what he looks like to me. He's the most unathletic looking pitcher I've ever seen play a game. And somehow he's getting results. He did a really good job last night.
David Wells pitch.
David Wells was just an athlete. He just didn't. He looked athletic doing it. Yeah, he didn't look bad doing it. He just was surprising. Tonkin's just like lumbering around. I don't even know what he is. I can't look at him as a major league baseball player, as a professional athlete. It doesn't make sense in my brain. But good for him, because he's making all of the most out of his opportunity here. So it's hard for me to shit on him because he's doing really well, and I'm pulling for him because he shouldn't do this well, frankly.
The bullpen is a disaster. It's a disaster.
So I expect Will Warren. I think he will be in the bullpen at some point. I think he's got that type of electric stuff where he could be good there.
Well,
and I wouldn't be surprised.
He's been getting spot starts now. So at what point are they going to try to get him? Because what you can't do also is say, now it's October 1st, so everyone's just going to the bullpen and trying it out for the first time in October. Like, you've got to get these guys bullpen reps in September.
And that's when it's going to happen. Again, like, you look at when the rosters expand, when the minor league season's over, you're going to start to see when Schmidt's back. There's a bunch of guys coming. They're going to throw shit at the wall again with the Efrosses of the world. Lou Trevino is entering a rehab assignment. I just saw, like, these names that were from the 2022 trade deadline are now potentially going to be effective pitchers in the Yankees bullpen.
It's so like you're funny. Saying, like, they're going to rebuild the bullpen. Rebuild it into what?
They're just going to change the names.
That's all they're doing. That might not be better.
I'm not saying that it's going to work. I'm saying that the names will be different because these guys are not sustainable.
Can't be worse.
Yeah.
All right. The last negative is Volpe. 4 for his last 39, which is a 103 batting average. But more than just the slump in the numbers is the approach at the plate just never seems to be there. And the terrible at bat he had in the 6th inning last night with the bases loaded, he was in swing mode. And that, I think, was a 2-2 pitch. It was just a ball in the dirt that he swung at, and he was going to swing at, whether that ball was in the dirt, in the dugout, down the middle, or at his head. He was going to swing at that pitch no matter what.
And you hate that. I know. You hate Anthony Volpe and his approach and the way that I want to bring some context into this world, okay, with Anthony Volpe. And yes, did I think Anthony Volpe would be further along? Yes, because it's his second year in the major leagues, and I thought it would be further along. But I'm going to go back to the conversation we just had about Aaron Judge and him starting his career in the New York Yankees on the major league level at age 25.
Now you're going to compare Volpe to
No,
Judge.
I'm not. I'm talking about age. I'm talking about maturity. I'm talking about where they are in their life and not just their baseball career, because I think that there is some context to sprinkle in there.
Baseball career matters.
It does matter, but it's not everything. Anthony Volpe is 23 years old. He is in his second year. Is he where he should be? as a second-year player in the major leagues? I don't think so. I think obviously the glove is there. We know that. He's had spurts where we know he can hit in the major leagues. For whatever reason, he has not found that consistency. I am at a point here where I still believe it. I still believe this, that Anthony Volpe will be a very good baseball player, a very good Major League Baseball player. It's taking him longer to figure out the consistency. No doubt about it. There is no doubt about that. But I don't think that he is a dumpster fire. I don't think that he is
Did I say he was a dumpster fire?
No, but I'm just saying, I think a lot of fans do think that at this point when they see him go through certain spurts like this. I think that he eventually will figure it out, and he's got time to figure it out. And he's 23 years old. So the consistency, while it is not there right now, I believe it's in him. I believe it's in him to make the adjustments and find that in his career. But unfortunately, we're not seeing it right now. And yeah, he has bad at bats, and he needs to get back to when he's on. He's seeing the ball better. The plate discipline is a lot better, and when he's off, the plate discipline is gone. And you're right; he gets in swing mode, and that needs to stop. He needs to stop doing that. He needs to develop whatever it is to figure that out and slow himself down and be able to recognize pitches when he's not going well and stop pressing. And I think he presses.
So if you want to say he's had good stretches, he's had bad stretches.
He has had good stretches.
I know. But if we want to take out the stretches and just say, what has he done? What has he been over 1,144 plate appearances? That's not a small sample size in the major leagues anymore. Over 1,000 plate appearances, he's an 86 OPS plus hitter, 677 OPS. That's not good.
Yeah,
that's just not good.
Because the bad are really bad, and that's the reason. The good are really good, and the bad are really bad.
Well, not only are the bad really bad, but the bad are 2-1 to the good.
Again, 23 years old into this point. There's time for him to figure this out. It's not 23 years old.
5 more years of team control.
Exactly.
They're going to keep running him out there every single season as the starting shortstop for 160 games.
They should absolutely 1,000% be going into next season with Anthony Volpe as the shortstop, 100%.
Okay, and if he's a 97 OPS plus hitter next year, which is 3 points better than he's going to be this year, which was 5 points better than he was last year, are you like, oh, well, signing up for year 4?
No, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what happens next year, and use my eyeballs to see what progress the kid has made and to see what adjustments he's made. I think he's a smart enough guy, a guy that wants to be. You can tell that the kid wants it. I don't know what else to say.
Now because he wants it, we're gonna stick
I think
with
that I think that the will and the fact that the kid has the work ethic in him. I believe all of the intangibles are there for him, and I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's got the talent. He's got to mature as a major league hitter. He's got to mature. That's the biggest thing. He's got to mature. Aaron Judge came up and struck out 50% of the time. Mm-hmm. Luis Robert
and then reinvented himself and was the MVP.
Luis Robert Jr. is striking out at a 50% clip from the All-Star break on. Last year, he was an All-Star and having a ridiculous year. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes guys lose it, but it does take longer sometimes. The reigning Rookie of the Year in the National League is started out the year as a dog shit year as well. This shit happens with young players. There's time for him to figure it out. He's 23 years old. Well, he came up very, very young.
Maybe by Volpe's walk year, he'll be a good hitter.
I can't predict what he's going to do, but I have the belief that he has what it takes to make those adjustments to be a much better hitter. And he doesn't have to be the best hitter in the world. He doesn't have to be the greatest hitter in the world. He's got to improve his plate discipline. It's one area of his game. I think he needs to get stronger, and I think he needs to do his plate discipline. I think those are the two things that he needs to do, and he needs to make those adjustments.
Stronger, like physically stronger, like more muscle.
I do. I think so. A little. I think he needs to get a little stronger.
You have to train. You have to do some training.
A little training.
Okay.
A little training.
Some training.
A little training.
A little training.
A little bit. But guess what? Guess what goes away? Guess what goes away? All of this conversation, if the clutch gene still stays in him and he has good playoffs, nobody's going to give a rat's ass what he did in the regular season.
What are his clutch numbers this year?
I don't know. I'm just remembering they were good.
I'm looking that up right now because I mean, how many times have we just
He's probably not been in very many clutch situations compared to last year.
Bad at bat in that clutch situation. No approach at the plate in that clutch situation. Oh, runners in scoring position. What's his batting average, you think?
205.
200. Men on base, 261.
Late and close.
Late and close, 250. 2
All
outs,
right.
runners in scoring position, 214. High leverage, 260.
Okay.
Medium leverage.
That's probably like third, fourth best on the team.
Medium leverage, 276. Low leverage, 219. I mean, he's been
He needs the pressure. He's
been bad to mediocre in all situations.
Okay. So again, like you are remembered by what you do in the playoffs. So if he's able to do anything in the playoffs,
Harrison Bader had about as good as a playoffs as you could have.
Yeah, but the Yankees didn't do shit with him on the team.
Oh, so not only does Volpe have to have a good playoffs, the Yankees have to win the World Series.
They have to do well yes, they have to proceed further along. They can't miss the playoffs. That's first of all. They have to go into the playoffs.
They're not gonna miss the playoffs at this point.
Well, you're talking about Harrison Bader. They have to make progress and make a deep run. Yes, and then
the player that you get traded for can't be an all-star level pitcher winning World Series for another team.
Yeah, basically.
The Yankees are going to be in Detroit this weekend, and then they're back home against Cleveland and Colorado. If you're looking to attend one of those games, check out the Game Time app for great tickets. So the Tiger Stadium, is it still Comerica Park? I don't know what it's called anymore, but I love the old, like how they have the path from home to the pitcher's mound. Like I love that kind of stuff in baseball fields. So that's I feel like Detroit is one of the road stadiums I would like to go to one day.
Okay. It's a good, yeah. I mean, I want to go to all of them, to be honest. I think Detroit would be a great one to go to. I want to go to Detroit in general because I feel like Detroit's gotten a little bit of a glow up. It's I think it's gotten a glow up recently, and I want to see what it's like.
What is Detroit famous for?
Detroit, Motor City. It's for their automotive manufacturing. That's what they're known for.
No, but like they're not really like. I guess like the Pistons were good. And when was that? When did they win champion? Like early 2000s, they won a championship.
When they were the bad boys.
Oh, that was the 90s. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Getting off topic again. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, meaning buying tickets to a baseball game on Game Time is faster and easier than ever. The Game Time app has so many great features. I love the flash deals so you can see what sections the best deals are in. You toggle that all-in pricing option so you don't get hit with surprise fees at checkout. And the seat view, if you're going to be in Detroit, you've never been there. Hey, I want to know what my view is going to be in section 117 of Comerica Park. You can get that on the Game Time app with real pictures, pan around views from inside the stadium. The app is streamlined and easy to use. It's just a few taps to find and purchase your tickets. And also, if you're going to the game with friends and family, you can very easily share from the Game Time app. Game Time has great tickets for concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much more. The Game Time guarantee means you're always going to get the best price. If you find tickets in the same row and same section and row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Bronx for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code BRONX, spells Bronx for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Jazz
Chisholm.
Scary, obviously, when we were just getting news that it's probably a UCL injury and they're getting tests and it could be Tommy John surgery and all that stuff. But the latest updates seem like it's a UCL sprain to obviously his non-throwing arm, which is also key in this situation. Surgery seems like it would be unlikely, which is good news. Also, the fact that it could be a sprain, probably a little bit of rest could manage it, and then he could get back, because if Chisholm is going to be out for the rest of the season, that takes your infield back to pre-deadline infield, which was the worst in baseball.
Yeah, so I think that one, it was surprising, right, that we got the news about the UCL, because I know he had that awkward slide going into home plate, which head first slide. That's why guys don't do that, because they can jam their arm, their wrist, their fingers. All of those things can go wrong. That's why everybody wears the oven mitt for their fingers, which is a ridiculous look at the end of the day. But from everything they're saying, he was put on the 10-day IL, and I don't know if this is. I'm really hoping that this is actually the case, that it's just a sprain in his non-throwing elbow, and if that's the case, then he should be back and he should be able to do things. The only thing that would hamper him from playing baseball or limit him is how he can swing the bat. And very possibly it's not going to affect him swinging the bat either. It might be something that he has to deal with. I think a lot of Major League Baseball players deal with a sprained elbow or UCL more than you even realize, because of, especially if it's their non-throwing arm. I think a lot of guys just are dealing with something like that, sprains or strains or something of their ligament. So unless they're just not giving us the full story and it's a way to put him on the 10-day IL before they have to transfer him to the 60-day IL, which could be part of a topic of conversation and how they're displaying this to the world. I hope it's not the case, and I hope that he's back. He's on the in the dugout, like flaying his arms, going like this. He's moving his arm. I was watching him on camera, seemingly happy, not in pain. Doesn't look like anything's wrong. So hopefully he's back sooner than later. I really hope so, because that would be a big blow.
Right after the play, the cameras were showing a shot in the dugout of him walking down, and he was flexing his arm. He was like, something feels off. What's going on here? And he was like, jiggling it. You know how like you'll jiggle something when you feel like a almost like a cramp or something. You're like, I got to get this out. That was like his immediate reaction.
Yeah. And he even mentioned something about like, the adrenaline of the moment didn't let him hear it. And Logan brought up too, like, what does it mean? Like when you sprain or strain something, the first thing it does is get stiff, right? You get stiff and it becomes sore. So obviously I'm sure that they iced the living hell out of it at that point to make sure that the swelling didn't, continue, because more bad things can happen at that point. You want to reduce the swelling, so they get a good look at it. All the x-rays and everything were negative. If it is just a sprain, then he should be back. He should be back.
But how is this going to affect him?
Thing.
Yeah. How is it going to affect him at the plate is first and foremost. Is he going to need additional time off to manage the pain, right? Like, instead of being an everyday player, does he go to being a 80% of the time player? Like, all of these things are still unknown.
100% unknown. It depends on how he can swing a bat. I don't think anything else is really going to be affected necessarily by him in the field. He shouldn't be affected in the field through this. It's all about, him swinging the bat. And if it's a pain tolerance thing, or, the other thing that can happen, especially with a ligament, if it's sprained and it's not healthy, is fatigue. You don't have the strength in that particular arm, and that could absolutely affect him swinging a bat. But we won't know until he gets rest and then tries to test it again. And I think that's probably what the Yankees are going to do, is they're going to rest him for the length that they can within the 10-day IL stint, and reassess.
And is this something that maybe, you can play the rest of the season, you're not going to do necessarily more damage, but you might need surgery in the off season? And people are going to freak out about that, but it's his non-throwing arm. So if you can get Jazz the rest of this season in the playoffs at 75-80% of himself, you take that, because you have no alternative, even if that means he might get surgery in the offseason and miss a month of next season.
He's a valuable player at the end of the day if he's playing and he's the last guy on the bench and you need him to go into a defensive role, or he's hitting late in the game, or laying down a bunt, or running on the base path. I'm just saying, in a playoffs, when there's an opportunity for a guy like that to contribute.
Okay, but you get that from Oswaldo Cabrera.
You could, but you're not getting the same level of athleticism
Defense?
that you do Jazz.
Well, you're not.
You could get it from Cabrera, yes, but Cabrera might be an everyday player at that point. So,
well, I think definitely what we need to see over the next stretch while he's on the IL is everyday reps from DJ. To your point, like, let's see what everyday reps from DJ looks like. Maybe he just got hot for 10 days or whatever it was. Like, that might be the case, but at this point, you have no alternative. And if Jazz is out for a serious amount of time, like, your infield is back to being in a bad spot.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, do you really want Jazz Chisholm as the starting third baseman in the playoffs for the Yankees? What do you mean? Only a handful of games under his belt.
That is the plan. Clearly that's the plan. So whether I want it, like,
maybe he's at second base. Maybe Gleyber does take it. There's a number of things that can happen. Maybe Rizzo's back and DJ's at third base. And I'm not saying that Jazz is out of the picture, but I'm saying, do you want him as your playoff starting third baseman, given if there are other opportunities? Because I still think that what
other opportunities are you talking about?
I still believe, as I do in the bullpen, that you look at what this team is going to look like on 9/15, that it could be very different. Anthony Rizzo could be back on this team playing first base every single day. You don't know.
If he is, here's the only scenario that I think
Jazz goes to second base, DJ goes to third.
See, I don't think Gleyber's coming out of the lineup. So here's what I'm saying.
That's a possibility.
I think a more realistic possibility is Rizzo comes back and is okay enough to start at first base every day. DJ is okay enough to start at third base every day. They're not taking Gleyber out because who knows why. Verdugo sucks, so they move Jazz out to the outfield, and your outfield is Jazz, in
Okay.
center, Judge.
But then you also
or
have
Soto
Jason
in left,
Dominguez.
Judge and right.
You have the potential
But
X
Dominguez,
factor
but
of
like
a Jason Dominguez.
the X factor is Dominguez. But like we just talked about, what if Dominguez is not ready to come up for one reason or the other?
Again, we still have a month, I think, until all of this is really going to culminate, and we're going to see a lot of these guys pressing for, because there are a lot of guys that are on their way back that it's seemingly what the Yankees' plan is, without them telling us. What it seems like they're doing is they're trying to get everybody healthy for a couple weeks before the playoffs and see what happens and see where the chips fall at that point and see what they have, see who's playing the best, see who's the healthiest, see who's not playing well, and see what they can do. Because you got guys like John Birdie who are coming back. You got Gleyber
Hamilton, Trevino, John Birdie, like you just said, Schmidt,
Rizzo.
Cody Petit, Trevino for the catching spot, which he better just play once a week to give Wells a day off.
Some young guys who are pitching, like the Will Warrens of the world, who could fit into the bullpen. Like, I still think that this roster is not remotely close to what it's going to be at the end of the season. And that's kind of crazy to say with a team that's, are we tied for first right now? In first place. With one of the highest, if they're not leading the league in runs scored, they're up there in the top 3.
When did they play Baltimore again?
It's the second to last series of the season.
Oh, do you remember my bold prediction?
Your bold prediction?
Yeah, my bold prediction.
By the way, I legitimately might be 5 for 5. It's possible.
Well, I called that series is going to be to decide the AL East.
What a stretch.
I said
the 2 best teams to be deciding it at the last
Yankees
series when they play each other.
Will sweep Baltimore that series, putting them putting the 2 teams tied for the division. The Yankees
then they would lose.
Sweep Pittsburgh, who will be playing for nothing, and then the Yankees will win the AL East by 1 game over Baltimore with 93 wins. So, not really. It's too specific on my part.
But yeah, so I think there's still reshaping, and I think there's a lot of unknowns and looking at guys who are coming back, because there are roster spots to be taken. It's like straight up, there are second base and left field, third base. There are roster spots to be taken.
Second base is Gleyber's. Come on.
Yes,
they're not going to do anything there. No, for now. Oh, you really think they're going to take him out of there? Out of everything they have put up with, I know they've benched
No, I don't
him.
think that they are going to, but I think that if you do see a extended cold streak, something wrong, which could absolutely be on the table.
He had an extended cold streak from April to July.
John Birdie wasn't on the team yet. If John Birdie were to come up and do something as well, like, there are going to be more options. That's all I'm saying, is there's going to be more options and more things to think about.
I'll eat my hat if Gleyber Torres gets benched for the playoffs.
Great.
I'll eat my hat in celebration.
Perfect. There's just a lot of unknowns that are coming up that could be factors in how this team looks.
You know what's great about saying you'll eat your hat? You can't actually eat a hat, so all I have to do
You can absolutely eat a hat.
How are you gonna eat a hat?
You eat it. You chew it, swallow it. You eat it. That's what you do. That's the whole point of the saying. It's tough. It's like leather, but you can do it, and you will if he gets benched. So don't try to cop out right after you said something.
I just said the great thing is all you do is put it in your mouth, chew a little bit. Yeah, that's it. That's
I'll
eating
cook
a hat.
it. I'll saute your hat.
Cook
you.
it?
Yeah.
How you gonna cook fabric?
I'm gonna put a whole bunch of butter in a pan. I'm gonna put your goddamn hat in there. I'm gonna cut it up and I'm gonna tenderize it.
Which hat? Because I'm at the point I've got far too many hats to know what to do with.
Whichever hat you want.
There's too
that
many
green
hats.
hat. You're gonna eat your green highlighter hat.
No, that's in Rhode Island. I gotta clean my hats up. That's gonna wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. We didn't do mailbag questions because there were no good ones. Submit your mailbag.
Well, we also
questions.
haven't. To be fair, we have not put out a mailbag request in a while. It's been a little bit. We need to get back on it. That's our bad. They were a little delayed in.
Why are you putting the blame on us? I was calling the listeners
because it was
out.
because it's not all their fault. Because it's not all their fault. It's on us too. The last couple of weeks have been a little weird, so we need to get back on it. So everybody, especially if you have not submitted a mailbag, I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you. Please submit a mailbag and send it to info@bronxpinstripes.com. and give us your concerns. How do you think that the lineup's going to shake up? How do you think that the guys who are in AAA right now are going to come up through the roster? Do you have any confidence in anybody who's coming back or in AAA that are going to come back and help this team out? We could be specific with what the ask is as well. So flood info@bronxpinstripes.com, info@bronxpinstripes.com. Send me an email.
Also,
I will check it.
send emails for hat recipes.
Yeah, hat recipes. That would be, put that at the back half of your mailbag.
All right. We'll talk to you guys after the Tiger series.